In this video, we will learn about landmarks in the cerebral hemispheres that are useful anatomic reference system. This is lateral view of the human brain. This is anterior and this is a posterior side. These are coronal sections for the human brain at the level of basal ganglia and level of thalamus. And this is superior surface and this is inferior surface. Cerebral hemispheres consist of superficial layer of gray matter that consists mostly of cell bodies of neurons and glial cells, and underneath gray matter is white matter that consists of axons of neurons, and those axons project to different areas of the brain. To increase surface area, the cerebral cortex is heavily folded in patterns of convolutions or gyri, and between those two gyri we can see one example of sulci or groove. Although the appearance of different grooves and folds varies between different people, all brains have basic similarities. In cerebral hemispheres, we can identify easily four lobes that are divided by sulci or grooves. This is an example of left cerebral hemisphere. These are four lobes: frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, and occipital lobe. Now we will review two major sulci: lateral sulcus and central sulcus, and gyri that are in vicinity of those two sulci. Deep under lateral sulcus is fifth lobe or insula. Insula can be identified only if we remove parts of the temporal, parietal, and frontal lobes that are covering this area. Lateral sulcus or Sylvian fissure is deep, and it is the border between temporal lobe, parietal lobe, and frontal lobe. Temporal lobe is divided into the superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, and inferior temporal gyrus by superior temporal sulcus and inferior temporal sulcus. Frontal lobe is divided into superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus. This is inferior frontal gyrus that consists of the opercular, triangular, and orbital part. The motor speech area or Broca's area that is important for the speech production is located in opercular and triangular part of the inferior frontal gyrus. In most of the people, that area is located in the left cerebral hemisphere. Another area that is important for the speech, in this case for understanding of spoken language, is Wernicke area. Wernicke area is located in left hemisphere in posterior parts of the superior temporal gyrus and in inferior parietal lobe. Second most pronounced sulcus in the cerebral hemisphere is central sulcus or sulcus of Rolando. Central sulcus separates primary motor cortex or Brodmann area number 4, which is in the precentral gyrus, from primary sensory cortex, which is Brodmann area 3, 2, and 1, which is in the postcentral gyrus. Central sulcus is uninterrupted, but it ends before reaching lateral sulcus. Precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus together make central lobe. Occipital lobe is related to vision, and gyri and sulci associated with this lobe we will show on mid-sagittal view of the brain. Here we can see border between parietal and occipital lobe, and that border is called parieto-occipital sulcus. This sulcus also separates region which is called cuneus of the occipital lobe from the precuneus which is in parietal lobe. Cuneus is important for processing visual information. Major groove in occipital lobe is calcarine sulcus that intersect parieto-occipital sulcus. Surrounding corpus callosum is cingulate gyrus, and cingulate gyrus is in continuation with parahippocampal gyrus, which we can see better in some other views of the brain. This is basal view of the brain. In this view, we will point to several areas. This is frontal lobe, occipital lobe, orbital gyrus, gyrus rectus, that is toward the midline, olfactory tract, olfactory bulb, uncus, rostral part of parahippocampal gyrus. Uncus and parahippocampal gyrus are important for the memory. For your orientation, those are mammillary bodies and optic chiasm that are landmarks of diencephalon. We will end this movie with superior view of the brain and point to longitudinal fissure that separate left and right cerebral hemisphere, superior frontal gyrus, central sulcus, precentral sulcus, postcentral sulcus. This is precentral gyrus. This is postcentral gyrus. This concludes cerebral hemisphere demonstration.